Hello and welcome back. If you were here for the last episode, then you know exactly what we're doing today. We are cutting hay, tedding hay, rowing hay, baling hay. Probably won't get to stacking hay today. But we're well on our way, what can I say? Hope everybody's doing well and enjoying the game. One thing I'd love for you guys to share down in the comments, just let me know what you're doing in game, what kind of farm you have going, what kind of equipment you're using, maybe how long you've been playing the game. I'd love to know that. I appreciate people clicking on the video and watching this farm. We're using, this tractor's not as old as it looks. This 4755 here. I mean, I guess by some measures it is an older tractor, but this is meant to be a vintage series. Did not like that I picked up the, yeah, there we go, that's better. It is meant to be a vintage series, and some of you are probably like, vintage? This stuff is from the 90s. Some of it, it's like late 80s, early 90s. I guess it all depends how you describe vintage. But in large part, I've made the choices that I've made because these vehicles are available to us, for one thing. And also because I think they're fun. So I really like this mid-size kind of tractor here. Some people will play this game and they'll play using massive equipment and huge fields, and hey, if that's what you enjoy, then that's fine. But this is the size that I like right here. These fields, as I've said numerous times in this series, are about the max that I can even deal with. When it takes me 3 hours to complete a job in a field, for whatever reason, it stops feeling like fun to me at that point and starts feeling a lot more like a chore. I guess we'll go ahead and take this tractor out of this field. I may bale with this one. So if you are newer to the series, this one we just bought, this 4955, we just bought this a couple months ago because we have an exorbitant amount of money for a farm this size, so we're happy to do that. The main reason that we are turning that field over there into a hay field is because we have a bunch of cows and we need to keep them fed. So we're going to do this job and then we're going to simulate a bunch probably. Oh, there's the, I forgot we have 3 chisel plows now. Get this one cleaned off and then try to put it in that shed. This is the newest one, so I'm sure it doesn't need to be maintained. But I'm going to leave this here for now because I want to take this tractor. You know what? Let's take this guy here. I want a Ted with the 4020 and windrow with the 710, I think. It's funny, from back here it doesn't look like that big of a field, but to me, it's going to make a lot of hay. Make a lot of hay. I can't remember why I backed that animal trailer up there. I'm sure I was planning on moving something. Get this unfolded. go ahead and get this turned into hay. This is really nice working with. And yes, we're going to do this lower part. I just started in the middle because that part gets a little bit tricky with the trees in the way. By the time we get this part done, hopefully the worker will be done with the upper half of the field, and we can move the worker down here and let them try to do that. But this is just a very involved job. So if you're not familiar with the process of making hay, when you initially cut the grass, it just lays on the field, right? It's just cut grass. Now, if you're growing hay specifically for cows, you're probably gonna grow alfalfa. You might have some timothy. There's different reasons, different strategies for what you grow based on what you're trying to influence in the cow, in the milk, in the health of the animal. But you can, by rights, you can make hay from any kind of grass. You just cut it, and then you let the sun dry out the hay. The reason that you ted is because, if you've ever gone outside after you cut your grass, you'll notice that it's wet. And if you want it to dry into more of like a brittle kind of consistency, you need to fluff it. So all this is doing, here, I'll stop and get out and show you guys. If all this is doing, these tines are spinning. These ones are going this way, these ones are going this way, every other all the way. So they're fluffing from green, fresh cut to fluffed up. Now the textures, because of the way FS works, the textures make it look immediately dry. This isn't what it does in real life. You don't go right from that to this, like ready to bale. You fluff it, and then it dries in the sun. You leave it out in the sun for hours, and then it's good. And then you come along with the rake, which we're gonna do here in a bit, and you put it into windrows. The rake does two jobs. One, it puts it into a windrow that makes it easier for the baler to pick up, and two, it gives it another fluffing because it's going to roll all of this into a nice even row. So I'll show you that before this episode is over. And then the baler takes these pieces of cut grass and it puts them into the middle of the baler, and then there's something called a plunger if it's a square bale, or a roller if it's a round bale. But if it's like we're going to be making big square bales, so there's a plunger that's going to pack it into the middle, and it's going to scrunch it into a rectangular bale. And then when it gets full, it wraps twine and ties it. It's got a twine mechanism in there, and that's what holds the bale together. And the little square bales, like if you watched my Case IH series, you saw the little square bales. Those are about 40 pounds, and an individual can lift them. I don't know how big they are. I would guess maybe like, how big's a bale? 3.5, maybe 4 feet wide. And like I said, they're about 40 pounds. So, to pick up one or two, not too bad. But when you load up 100 on a bale wagon, and then you take it back to the barn and unload those 100, it gets to you. It's definitely a young man's game and a lot of work. But these massive ones that we're going to be making are like probably, I don't know, are they thousands of pounds? Definitely hundreds of pounds. And so you use machinery to pick them up. You've probably seen round bales in fields driving around, even if you're from the country, even if you're from the city. You've driven on highways and stuff, and you see those round bales out in the field. Now, a lot of times what a farmer will do is bale up a bale and then just leave it sit in the field, at least until the next cut of hay. So they'll leave them sit out there, and they'll go get them as needed. Because once it's baled up, the outer section of the bale, essentially, well, sometimes they put netting on them, but also sometimes the outer section they can just pitch that, right? Just throw it in the ditch. The cows don't necessarily need to eat that outer section, but that outer section then absorbs all the bad weather, so the inner part of the bale stays really good, and it'll keep. So they can leave it in the field for months on end and just get it when they're ready to feed it. It all depends on the size of the operation, what kind of, you'll see crappy hay bales out in a field because they're just gonna use it for some other type of less discerning animal. I watched in the squad, not the squad, I'm sorry, in Spencer's video, he did some real life baling recently, and he said, there was some bales that he made out of some lower ground that wasn't planted in anything specific, and so he sold the bales to somebody to feed to their goats. That's a prime example of, like, the farmer with goats still needs to feed their goats over the winter and is happy to feed them crappy bales, and Spencer was happy to be able to sell those bales and make some money. So everybody wins in that arrangement. But the quality of the grass to begin with determines the quality of your hay, and the farmers will measure the moisture. They can tell based on how dense a bale is what it's going to be like. A hungry animal will eat any of it, but if you're thinking about the longevity of an animal, you don't want to feed them bad quality feed, or it will have an impact. Especially something like a dairy cow, you want to be giving them good feed because the feed impacts the quality of the milk. The quality of the milk affects the humans that drink it. So that stuff is all interconnected. But yeah, we're getting this under control here. The worker up top there, it looks like they're doing okay. They seem to have a few more passes. We have this section here. Our next pass down the field is going to run into this piece. That happened. The worker skipped that because I wasn't perfectly straight. I was going straight like a human, and it's going straight like a computer. So look at it now. It's backing up. Those things, I swear. So, I'm just gonna go over there right now. Just stop. Just stop. I actually don't know what it's gonna do if I put the tedder on a worker. I don't know if that will be effective or not, but we'll get this under control here. I did want to say thanks for the people that are still, sticking around 14-minute mark. Appreciate you watching so much of the video, for supporting the channel. I appreciate. I imagine if you're still watching this, you probably enjoy it, and that means a lot to me. Also, I wanted to say thank you because we're coming up on 500 subs, and I know some of you are probably like, well, I watch YouTubers that have 1 million subs. What's the big deal about 500? Two things are a big deal about 500. One is it means we're halfway to 1,000, which is the low bar for monetization. And two, the other nice thing about 500 subs is it's the first rung, the first hurdle for being able to have access to community features. So right now I can message you guys, I can send out polls, I can send out pictures, which is all fun. But if I get the community goals, we can start saying, like, we can have some financial incentives. You guys can start donating at 500, which I'm not saying anybody has to give me their money. I mean, this isn't what I do for a living or anything. But it is. Hold on, pardon me. I gotta tab through. See, he's gonna do the same thing. He's probably gonna straighten out, and there's gonna be a little stretch that doesn't get turned into hay because he's gonna straighten out. Yeah, there it goes. Whatever. But I did just want to say, it would be a cool goal to get to, and I struggle with how to set all of this up in a way that is beneficial to viewers, but is also understanding that I'm not going to be producing the same kind of content as these guys that are big time, full time, just by the nature of, I'm recording this on a evening on the weekend to schedule it, during the week when you guys are going to see it. It's not the same kind of schedule as the full-timers. For better and for worse, I would say. For better and for worse. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm not the kind of guy who's going to be like, run out and make a Patreon and do a bunch of condescending posts about how people need to support me. I mean, the fact that anybody even cares to watch my playthroughs is such a huge compliment to me. When I have a video that gets 200, 300, 400 views, that means the world to me. So I'm just saying it's a nice milestone for somebody who's been working at this for a while. I have a main channel where I play other sims that are not just farming sim, but I ended up making this farming specific channel because one, I love this game so much, and two, because I found that people who like this game don't necessarily overlap with like a Planet Zoo or like a Medieval Dynasty is my main series right now going on my main channel. And the people who like that are not necessarily farming simulator people. So having this on its own channel was a great decision for the life of both channels. And my main channel just hit 500. And now this one's about to hit 500, hopefully. I say about to, I don't mean that to sound arrogant, like it's definitely going to. Hopefully it will. I would love that as a Christmas present, because then I would have 1,000 subs between the two channels, and that would be pretty cool. I also understand that YouTube is a really interesting game because it is very much like you have to earn it. Like, I have so much respect for anybody who's been successful on YouTube, just because there's no way to cheat the system. Like, you have to figure out what people will watch. Now, it might be something I think is absolutely ridiculous. Some of the stuff my kids watch, for example, I think is insulting to all of us, all of our intelligence, collectively. But it's popular with an audience. That audience gets clicks. Those clicks, that audience that is driven from the clicks commands advertising. So that, it might be some little kid opening toys for an hour, or whatever, something that seems silly to us. But little kids watch it with such excitement, and they watch start to finish, and they react, and they like it so much they watch it again, and they like the video, and they tell their friends about the video, and their friends become addicts. And then YouTube can sell a toy ad on that video for very good money, because it's exactly the target audience that they have on their product. It's brilliant. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. We could just leave that down. I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy going the other way, and we'll get the 710 windrowing. I don't know if how many times am I going to realize that it picks it up. I don't know why that got going crooked. Turn your wheels. There we go. Let's go with that. No, okay, whatever. I don't think we're gonna bail today. I probably should just do this myself. I have a feeling this is gonna be bad. Trying to have a worker do this. Maybe I can get a worker to do the little part. The little end up here. But anyways, I was rambling about, how watch time and advertising and all that works. And that to me is what makes it so cool when somebody decides to start some really crazy niche YouTube channel. Like, you might even think that having a gaming channel where you only play Farming Simulator is itself pretty niche. Like, to the rest of the world, that's niche, and to those of us that watch this kind of stuff, we're like, no, there's dozens of them, and they're all fun. We all love it. This is probably the wrong way to do this. But I'll see how the worker handles that. Okay, let's get in the 710. It's this guy here. So this little 710 was one of the first tractors we bought on the farm. It's actually, fun trivia story, one of the reasons why I even started this farm, this save. Because I always play with red tractors. And this one came out in the mod hub, and I was like, that's so cool. It's such a classic, like the 4020 and the 710, like these are just classic John Deeres. And I thought that'd be really fun to have a farm where I use those. And then I got to this farm, and I ended up getting that. I think it's the 4755 and the one other that I duels on over there, 40, 45, 55? I can't remember the name of it ever. But I got those, and these fields are so huge. It's like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. But I really enjoyed it. So, okay, back to our haying lesson. So this guy, these things, see how they have these little curves? They're going to spin. So they're going to take the hay in. This one goes in, this one goes in, this one goes in. And back here, we're going to get a nice long row. So this is going to take essentially 3, maybe 4. Yeah, let's go forward a little bit. You can see how it's going to take 3, maybe 4 rows worth. And put it all in one row that the baler will pick up. I want to get like one of these jobs right here. Okay. So we can stay back here so you can see how it works. Now, the visualization on this is a little bit rough because it's like teleporting it. But in real life, this hay would go right along here. It would all be channeling up, and there'd be a ton of dust up here in the middle. And I need to go to the left. Not that far to the left, but I just want to make sure we're getting out here on the left side. But this puppy can go pretty fast because it's just spinning those wheels. They're just spinning around. Now, if you watch my Case IH series, I used a different type of rake, a bar rake. But this one, I think this is called a wheel rake. These are, both types are fairly popular in the U.S. And they're fitting of the time period. How's this worker doing down here? Not half bad. I'll be honest. I'm surprised. It's a lot of turning around. I should have had him go the other way, but you know how it goes. So now when we get to the end, I can either turn it around and come back on ourselves, or we can shut it off and kind of have it end here. It depends on whether or not you do a headland, which we don't have. So I'm just gonna spin it around. We'll do the best we can with it. I don't like that it's having a bunch of that hay go off of the edge of the field. Did that up there too. I don't love that. So we just need to keep going like this, and then in the next episode we'll come along with the baler and bale this up. And I'm thinking we'll probably get maybe 3 or 4 bales per pass. This is going to be a lot of hay. We could end up with 50, 60 bales off of this field alone, which is great. That'll be great for our farm. We'll be able to simulate a little bit of time. See, I don't like that. I don't understand why, my wheel out here is clearly beyond this bar and it's leaving spots behind. I don't love that. That isn't enough to make me go get a different type of rake necessarily. Look, that was fine. So it could have been that it was off kilter. I'm demonstrating for the camera, but you can't see. It could be crooked, imbalanced in the field. I don't know. Alright, this one I'm gonna try making a turn, an in the field turn, so that the baler can just keep going. Like so. See how that makes an in the field turn? I'll show you. So when the baler's coming along, he won't have to go up here and turn around in the road. He could just go right around here, in the field turn, and head back. But I think this is going to be where I draw us to a conclusion in this episode. Hopefully you feel like you've learned a little bit about making hay. And, when we go to feed it here in the next couple months, oh, there's a pin up there. Hopefully when we go to feed it, you'll have a greater appreciation for the hay itself, because you'll say, oh yeah, I was there when we cut it. I was there when we made it. All right, everybody, thanks so much for checking out the episode. My name is Bluebelly. This is Bluebelly Farms, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.